In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make artisan bread. It's delicious. Now, if you've never made bread before, this is the recipe for you. It's easy to make. The dough is forgiving. You don't have to knead it. You can start it in the morning and eat it at lunch, or start it in the afternoon and have it for dinner. The ingredients include 3 cups of bread flour, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast, and 1.5 cups of bottled or filtered water at 110 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course you need a Dutch oven. Just be sure that the knob on the lid can handle 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And a pair of oven mitts. Be sure that these are also rated at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. For more items, just see under the description below. Many people just put all the ingredients directly into the flour and start mixing. And it works very well like that. But for me, I always proof or test my active dry yeast first because I want to make sure that it's viable. I like the idea also of just giving it a head start. To proof the yeast, just add the sugar and yeast to the water that's been heated between 110 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit and stir. Wait 5 to 10 minutes and check it. If foam develops on top, then the yeast is alive and ready to be used. In the meantime, add the salt to the flour and whisk it in. You can see foam has developed, so the active dry yeast is alive and ready to go. Now add the mixture to the flour. Use a spatula, a wooden spoon, or a dough whisk like the one I'm using and start mixing. The idea is to get all the flour hydrated. At first it'll seem very dry, but just keep mixing and eventually it'll become very sticky. It's known as a shaggy dough. When you're finished, you should let it rest in an area that's between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. During the first 2 hours, I'll do a series of stretch and folds. For the first hour, they'll be 20 minutes apart. For the second hour, they'll be 30 minutes apart. If you don't want to do this, don't worry. A lot of people don't, and the bread still tastes great. If you do, I'll put the schedule under the description for you. I'll explain the benefits of stretch and folds a little later. Well, the dough's looking pretty good, so now I need to let it rest for 3 hours in a place that's between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to put it in my oven with the light on and the door open slightly. It ends up being around 77 degrees. Some people put it on top of the refrigerator or pantry closet. You have an option to either leave it alone for 3 hours or do some stretch and folds during that time. Well, it's been 20 minutes. I'll be showing you the first series of stretch and folds. I do this to help strengthen the gluten so that the gas from the yeast will be more easily trapped in the dough, causing the dough to rise or spring better. This makes the bread less dense. Now, if you don't want to do this, that's fine. The bread will still taste great. Rather than bore you with all the different stretch and folds, I'm going to be showing you the first one and the last one before shaping. I want you to see the difference in the gluten development. I'm finished with the first set of stretch and folds. Time to put the dough back in its resting place. I use a tea towel over it to block the oven light from shining on the dough, otherwise it'll dry the dough out. It's been 2 hours and I wanted to show you the last stretch and fold so you can see how the gluten has developed. After this, I'll let it rest for the last hour without any stretch and folds. This is one of my favorite parts of making bread. It's just the feel of the dough. Look how smooth this is. Okay, it's time to put it to rest for the last hour. It's been 3 hours, so it's time to shape the dough. I'm putting a little flour on the working surface to keep it from sticking. Be sure to flour your hands to keep the dough from sticking to you. Now I know this video makes it seem like it takes a long time, but it really doesn't. Well, it's like 5 minutes of prep work, 3 hours of rest, and then bake time. Well, maybe 3 or 4 minutes of total folding time. Now the first thing I do is flour my hands just a little bit. I don't have a lot of flour on the board. I'm going to want some friction actually a little later. So I'm laying it out a little more flat. I'm trying to flatten it up, getting ready to shape it. Now I take the side nearest me, stretch it out towards me a little, and then pull it up 3/4 of the way. Then I go to a side and stretch it out and pull it up. Just be sure not to tear it. I stretch the other just a little bit and bring it on over. And then I go to the top and stretch it as much as I can without tearing it, and then bring it over. And then even the one nearest me, I bring it over and roll it. Then I tuck under and flour my hands a little bit and shape it into a ball. Now I kind of drag it. I pull against the board to cause a little friction, so it actually tightens up the outer portion of the dough ball. This will help it to maintain its shape, to keep it from flattening out. Now place parchment paper over the bowl you want to rest your dough in. I use a smaller bowl to help maintain the shape of the dough. You could put it in the larger mixing bowl, but it tends to flatten out over time, and the oven's going to take about 30 minutes to heat up. Now I'm going to score it. I just use a razor blade. You can use a sharp knife if you want. If the dough's really loose, you can just use scissors and snip the middle. You want to control the spring. So I'll just put a tea towel over it while I preheat my oven for 30 minutes. Make sure nothing's inside your Dutch oven, and then put it inside the oven and preheat it to 450. So it's been 30 minutes. Time to put the dough in the Dutch oven. Very, very hot. Be careful. Keep those gloves on. Now I'm adding an ice cube here because it will create more steam, which will delay the crust from forming so it can rise a little bit more. All right, it's time to bake it for 35 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it's been 35 minutes. It's time to remove the lid. Now I'm going to bake it without the lid for another 15 to 20 minutes. This is to give it a nice golden brown appearance. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes. It's time to remove our Dutch oven and our bread. Be sure to have those gloves on. Look at the spring on that. Look at that rise. It is beautiful. Nice golden brown. And check out that crumb. This is a comparison between one loaf with 3 hours rest and all the folds, and one loaf sitting in the front with 2 hours rest and no folds. Well, thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, please hit like and maybe share it. And don't forget to subscribe. Again, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.